All right. How you doing, everybody? Thanks for joining me. Today is Saturday, October 8th. Just wanted to share that video. It's been out there for a few years now with I forget his name, but he did a webinar talking about how to flush out the banks. And that kind of information goes hand in hand when you do your bill of complaints, when you're ready to do that, once your trust is established. You don't need to actually do a bill of complaint with the accord and satisfaction. What I mean is you don't need to have your trust set up 100% to do all those things, but it surely does help when you actually do go to court. So let's go ahead and let a few more people come in. We got 24 participants so far. I sent out a request to some of you guys that are participating in Telegram, and you've given me some topics to talk about today. Kind of on a whim here, I came into California to support my mother. Had a successful surgery for her a couple of days ago. She's doing good. I appreciate all you guys' prayers on that. And so I'm kind of just, like I said, I'm within my 2 weeks of catching up from when I had to take the trip to Colombia. And this is the last week of that. So private clients, be prepared, including you, Ryan. You will be receiving a call from me this week. And then my consultation link will go live so you guys can start booking if you need it. As of now, you can book with Isaiah. He is available. He's been helping a lot with that. And remember, when you talk to him, he's always in constant study with me. So whatever questions you guys ask and he doesn't quite understand or know how to answer right away, he's either going to get me on the line and we'll be having a three-way conversation, or he'll jot the question down, relay it to me. I'll get it back to him and he'll get it back to you. So that's what we're doing for right now during this 2-week crunch time. So, like I said, I had some questions that you guys gave me on what to discuss for today. So I'm going to go over and teach a little bit, and then we'll go into questions, whatever questions you may have pertaining to the courses. And hopefully you have some questions pertaining to the subject that I go over today. So the information that you have inside of the courses, dealing with putting the trust together, authenticated birth certificates, your affidavits of claim of ownership, we're going to focus on that because some counties are having trouble, or they're giving you trouble on how to record these things in court. Whatever excuse they give you, sometimes they don't give you any excuse. They just say we can't do it, and without providing you any statute and code for you to take back and go study and fix. So if you guys, everybody can mute out as I'm going over this information. So what I'm going to do is kind of show you new tactics. We have to always be prepared because as we learn and do things, they will change the rules. So I'm going to show you some tactics on how to overcome recording the affidavit of claim of ownership. Very important to do. Why? Because just like a house, if a house has a deed, has a certificate of title for the actual ownership of the property, well, the bank is holding on to that, right? Why? Because you gave them a promissory note, and until you fulfill the promissory note, then they'll give you the title to the house. It's the same way for your birth certificate. The trust is going to have a promissory note to have collateral. The collateral is your body, your energy, your labor. That's how they're taxing you. So if the IRS or the government doesn't have an authenticated birth certificate with a claim of ownership or promissory note, that means the trust is first in time, first in line. It has the highest seat for any type of claim. So you want to make sure that's established. Now, not only do you want to have the authenticated birth certificate registered on your non-UCC, you also want to have the affidavit of claim of ownership. Now, I've given templates to that inside of the freshman course, and I believe 1 or 2 Saturday class webinars. But today we're going to do an update, and that will be the title of today's webinar that you'll see. So in case you miss it and you want to come back and do this part, you can go into Patreon in the search section and type in the title of today's class to pull up that affidavit. So let me pull up my notes. All of these notes that I show you today will be as an attachment to this video. All right, so let me share my screen. That would help. Let's do like this here. All right. Move this over. Zoom in a little bit. Okay. So we're going to talk about the adult affidavit of domicile. There's an adult version and a child version. Remember, we talked about if you have children or if you adopted children, how do you claim their birth certificates and the affidavits to the parents' trust to remove the nonsense courts, all of their Administrative Procedures Act that they do in court to have control over your children, even in the public school systems. So, like I said, some counties are rejecting recording the trust and the non-UCC, or just parts of the trust, such as a declaration of nationality. Some counties are also not accepting recording the authenticated birth certificates. Now, I just got a notice from the first county that allowed me to do that, which was Lamar County in Georgia. And the guy that allowed us to do it, his name was Bill Hewitt. He was the actual clerk of court down there. He allowed us to record everything that we wanted. He was a part of the Republic. He's retired, and now upon the new commencement of a new clerk, information that I had sent him back in November of 2021 was just returned back to me. You see how long it takes for them to process these things? I am not kidding. When you send them the right information, they will just hold your information and do nothing. And here it is, almost a year later, I receive it back saying, we're not going to record anything pertaining to this. So it's a matter of finding a county that's more favorable, and it's a matter of finding out how to slide your information in the door. And we're going to do that through what's called an affidavit of domicile. Within the affidavit of domicile, you're going to type in additional language to get what you want into the door. It has to be a county record. Okay. Usually we did this with the trustee minutes, but like I said, they're rejecting that. So I know what you're thinking right now. Affidavit of domicile. Isn't that what we're trying to get away from? Right? Legal residence and all of that. Like I said, your straw man, your ins legis, has two sides: a debtor side, which is the public, and the creditor side, which is the private. Both of those are still debtors. Both of those are ins legis straw man, right? Now, your trust is the creditor that can own and control both sides. So what I'm saying is your first, middle, last name that's on the social security card and the birth certificate will always be what it is. It can never be changed. This is why when you're ready, you will get to the point where you do a name change in the court to your title of nobility name, and you will use that decree to apply for your United States of America passport. That's the real you. This first, middle, last name that's on every single record that you have up until this point is going to remain like an LLC, a company, a sub corporation. You will control it. No longer will the United States Express Trust control it. So when you think about affidavit of denial of domicile, don't think you're giving jurisdiction to them. Okay, we're just sliding our information into the court. And we're going to do the same thing for the children. So let's first look at the affidavit of domicile for the adult, right? This is what you're going to use. Excuse me. This is what you're going to use. Of course, everything in red, like you known in the course, you're going to change for your jurisdiction pertaining to you. So let's read. Before me, the undersigned authority this day personally appeared, and that's where you write, well, the notary will write your name there. Whatever is presented on your ID, that's what they will write. Avery Duval Cottrell, who being first duly sworn under oath disposes and says that affiant resides in and maintains a place of abode in the city of, put whatever city you want, put whatever county you want, put whatever state you want. It could be where you currently are if you want to. Me personally, I would do it in a whole nother county where I personally have a home or where I pay rent, which she recognizes and intends to maintain as her permanent home. Affiant declares that she also maintains a residence at, give the address. that she formerly resided at, and give the city and the state. Now, here where it says city and state, what I want you to put is the actual city where you were born and the state where you were born. Let's say I was born in Los Angeles, California, but I currently stay in Florida. So I will put a Florida address, but Los Angeles and California here. But that his or her abode in Florida constitutes his or her predominant and principal home, and affiant intends to continue it permanently as such. Affiant further declares that she affirms the registrar of titles is authorized to receive for registration. You guys know what this is. This is Minnesota Rule 220 with some changes here. So after the words registered owner named, that's where you're going to put in your first, middle, last name that's on the birth certificate. If you are a junior, put JR. If you are the second, put 2 I's, right? You'll do like that. It needs to match exactly as it does on the said certificate. So let that go down. You already know, as having attained the age of majority at the date 18 years after the date of birth shown by said certificate. Now here we go. Affiant further declares the natural person known as the Micro Republic Express Trust, this is where you put the name of your express trust, holds a claim of ownership of the above said certificate of title number. This is the authenticated birth certificate number that you get back from the U.S. Department of State. At the top of that gold sealed document is a number. Put this here. And also put the date that they authenticated. Affiant further declares that she is an actual bona fide and legal resident of the state of Florida, and the filing of this affidavit is to be accepted by all persons or any court as proof of such legal residence and permanent domicile. To the clerk who receives this looks exactly like an affidavit of domicile. They do not understand what this is. This is how you're going to sneak it into the door. So you have to get past the first gate, which are the deputy clerks, the employees. Whatever they don't understand, they send it back to the attorneys on whoever is assigned that day, and they pretty much will know what this is, and then they'll say, oh, we can't do this, without telling the counter clerks why. That's what happens. So you want to present a document that they're familiar with looking at. And let me show you. In Seminole County, where I currently am, I've pulled up some, let me see, some affidavits. So you're going to have to go into your county and find document records or even the land records and see how they do it there. I've structured this exactly how affidavits of domiciles are done in Florida. And of course, the full faith and credit rule, whatever is done in one county or one state applies to the next, right? All thanks to the Articles of Confederation. Now I'll let that load and I'll come back and show an example. And that's how you do that for the adult. Now, what does it look like for the child, for your children? All right, a little bit different, Here we go. Again, parent's name goes here because the child is under 18. They cannot fill out an affidavit, right? The parent has to do it. I believe it's 16 is the cutoff. So if they're 16 and below, you do this. Find out in your state what the legal age of majority is for your child to do an affidavit. It says, who, being first duly sworn under oath, deposes and says that affiant, parent, legal guardian, grandparent, domestic partner, entitled to receive records of court order, the registrant, and that is you, the parent, the legal guardian, you are the registrant, known as, this is your name. I'm sorry, the registrant is the child. So known as, this is your child's name that goes here. Put the full name that's on the child's birth certificate. You're stating that they reside in city of, county of, state of Florida, whichever state, which he, she is maintained, protected under legal guardianship of the affiant, declaring that he, she also maintains a resident at, but the address, city and state, and that his or her abode in Florida constitutes his or her predominant and principal home, and affiant intends to continue it permanently as such. Why would a child need this? I'm talking about from the perspective of a counter clerk, right? Why would they say that? Oh, you just say, oh, for the school. We just moved here and then we're going to give this to the principal. They don't need to know what school. You may even be doing homeschooling, but this will be accepted. So let them record it. An affiant intends to continue it permanently as such. An affiant further declares that he, she affirms the registrar of titles is authorized to receive for registration of memorials. You know what this is, right? Let's go down because there's a little bit of a change here for them. Providing there is attached to said birth certificate an affidavit of an affiant who states that he, she is familiar with the facts recited, stating that the party named in said birth certificate is the same party as one of the owners named in said certificate of title, and that thereafter the registrar of titles shall treat said registered owner, this is the child's name, as having attained the age of the majority at the date 18 years after the date of birth shown by said certificate. As of this day, the registrant is under legal disability under 6 years of age, being born on, you put their birthday, whichever age they are, you're going to put that there. An affiant further declares the natural person known as, this is the parent's express trust, holds a claim of ownership of the above said certificate of title. This is the child's authenticated birth certificate number and the date via a county recorded public finance transaction and lease agreement. You see, the adult, you had a promissory note for $9 billion, and you did all of the mortgage calculations for that so that the trust can be the creditor over that debtor, over the first, middle, last, and over the last, comma, first, middle, two sides to a ledger, right? Well, in this case, there is not going to be a promissory note for your child. There is only going to be a lease agreement. You can easily find a lease agreement online. Real estate investors can pull that up, no problem, right? Use a lease agreement that you're comfortable with. You don't have to have all of the information when it comes to the amounts, none of that, just a monthly lease. Now, I'm going to show you how you place that information on the actual non-UCC so that it matches. So it is a lease agreement for the child. Until the registrant has attained the age of majority. So you're saying that this lease agreements will be in effect until they have reached the age of majority. Again, look at your state to see when that is. Some states is 16, some states is 18. I even seen some that says 21. The age to properly vote. You have to check it out. Affiant further declares that he, she is an actual bona fide authorized person as defined in, now I just use this one. Whenever you want to file or obtain a birth certificate for your child or for yourself, you go through vital statistics. And this is the California Health and Safety Code section, blah, blah, blah. This section defines an authorized person. And so you want to find this type of language in whatever state you're in. Okay. And that's going to define what an authorized person is to receive a certified copy of the birth, death, or marriage certificate. Find out what that is in your state and plug that in right here. Remember, this does not put you into any jurisdiction or their power. We're sliding in the affidavit of claim of ownership that the trust has over the child, that the trust has over the parents ins legis. Okay, this is what you're going to do. Get it notarized. Right now, when you get that notarized, once the affidavit is notarized, point number 3, you're going to mail to the county recorder's office. to be recorded as an affidavit of domicile. The recorded copy will then be sent to the Secretary of State for the county clerk's seal to be authenticated, followed by the Secretary of State seal to be authenticated by the U.S. Department of State Secretary using the same form DS 4194, just like your birth certificates. Why do we do that? Simple. Because when you look at this DS 4194, sorry, you're going to fill it out the same way you would a birth certificate. You still put the country Thailand. One second, you guys, one second. Okay, sorry about that. So you're going to use Thailand as the country. I still want you to use a non-Hague Convention country. Select one, it's because it's only one document. Now here, the options that you used to select before was birth certificate. Now you're going to select certified court records. When you file your affidavit of domicile with the county, it now becomes a court record. Because remember, the clerk of the court, or I'm sorry, the recorder's clerk is what? An immigration officer within a naturalization court. So it is a certified court record that you're trying to get authenticated. And I've done it with marriage, private marriages, all the way up. So now you're going to understand how to actually get these documents that we're doing that people have been trying to do. It needs to be inside of the court record, authenticated. When it's authenticated, it cannot be dismissed as admissible evidence. Very important. See, this whole trust thing that we're doing is phase one. Phase two is going after the money. It's going after the money. Now, that's how you do that for your affidavit and your child's affidavit if you have children. Even if you've adopted, same thing. Okay, you will authenticate the actual court orders for the adoption. All right. So another question that we received, this is coming from Mr. Reggie. Reggie Holmes in Ohio. He was asking about how do we deal with difficult judges in court? And, you know, the best way to handle a judge who is being partial is to know your Ohio Constitution well enough to keep them in check. Now, remember, if you don't know your rights or their rules, then you have no rights and there are no rules to enforce. So I'm going to go to your Constitution really quick. Article 3, we're going to look at Section 3 and Section 5. Very important for you to understand your Constitution. Everything will lead you to court, and you have to know how to conduct yourself in court. And if you're using your trust, a lot of times your documents are going to be introduced as bills or writs. Okay, writs are very important. So Article 3, we're talking about the judiciary. So Section 3, it says the several courts of common pleas, because I believe this is the type of court that you're in, shall consist of a president and associate judge. So if you're not dealing with the president or associate judge, if that's not their title, and they are being partial and they're violating your Bill of Rights, then this is where you let them know, okay, well, I'm going to have to introduce and bring in the presidents and associate judges to enforce you, to do your job, according to the oath that you've given. See, when you know that they have higher ups and you know how to contact them, that's when they start to get in line, because they do not want you to be able to sue their oath and their bond. You can go after their bond, and the express trust has the ultimate power to go after the bonds, more so than a regular individual person, right? Let's look at Section 5. It says the Court of Common Pleas in each county shall have jurisdiction of all probate and testamentary matters, granting administration, the appointments of guardians, and such other cases as shall be prescribed by law. Okay, so you need to know the Constitution, but more importantly, know your Bill of Rights. The Bill of Rights for you is, I think it's section 8. Yes, here it is. You have to know this entire section like you know your name. You have to know it when you go in. It is dire. You just have to know that. Okay. That's the best advice I can give. Now, if a judge is partial to your rights, then you have no choice but to serve what's called a writ of error. A lot of times they talk and talk and talk over you. They don't want you to get out what you're trying to say, even though this is a private court hearing. A lot of times the judge just doesn't know, because remember, they're administrative, and above him is an associate judge and a president judge who actually knows chancery court rules. So that's where you would file a writ of error, and you would write in your paragraph what he did wrong. Or you can do what's called a writ of false judgment. Now, if you go to Wikipedia, this link here has some hyperlinks. So if you go to Wikipedia, this is going to show you all of the different writs that you can utilize in court. I don't care if you're suing somebody. I don't care if somebody's suing you. If you're locked up and you need to get out, look at these writs here. It tells you what to do in your cases and how to command them to listen to you. I'm not talking about motions of discovery. I'm not talking about things like that. I'm talking about these are actual orders. This is how you order a trustee of the union to act, by issuing writs. Okay. If you want something further, I do have that. There's a book called The Table of Writs. I will add this inside of the chat. Let's go down to page, and this is also good here if you catch it, a writ of right of patent. If you want to know how to put in the right descriptions to go after land, you need to put in a writ of right of patent. If I go down to page 38, it's going to talk about the writ of false judgment, right? In Ohio, they have dower rights. That's another thing, Reggie, you might want to look into. Grab this book and download it as soon as I upload it into Patreon. Let me go down to 38. Don't worry, guys, we'll get to questions. We will have time today. Here we go. Writ of false judgment. Writ of false judgment lieth where false judgment is given in the county, or in the hundred, or in the other court bearing, which is not a court of record, in a plea for real or personal property. In this case, I believe you are talking about both real property, your house, and personal property, your children, right? As if in a writ of right patent or in other personal plea, there the party, plaintiff or defendant, which is grieved, shall have this writ. Simply by you saying you are grieved. And the writ shall issue first out of the chancery. Ohio is chancery. And if the false judgment be given in the sheriff's county court, then the writ shall be directed unto the sheriff himself and shall be such. So you got to CC the sheriff in the same county, along with that president judge and the associate judge. That's how you're going to get them to act how they need to act. Why? Because they're going against a contract that's already been instrumented or instituted. So use that. Hope that will help. We go down to the next part. Stay on track here. Let's see. DBA. I got a question from out in Chicago. I don't know why I'm blowing it. Can't think of the name right now. Frenchie. There we go.
Frenchie and CJ.
There we go. Frenchie. DBAs for Illinois, Lake County. So I got the form up. I can go over that. But remember, if you utilize what I'm showing you here and they still reject, then you may want to go into your county down at the courthouse and do a search physically, because you can't do it online. Go down to the courthouse and look up DBAs and see how they do it there. If they have you write it out by hand, then you can do that. And I prefer those better than using the forms. forms have some form of licensing jurisdiction anyway. I'd rather write it up and put it as an affidavit, take it in there and record it. So just do that if what I show you today doesn't work. So we're going to go over the express trust, estate, which covers your birth name, trust enterprise, or your LLC. So you should have 4, because I know you have another business. So you should have 4. So if I look at the form for Lake County, which is this, the example that I have, Dorothy, Kansas, family of Oz estate. Nowhere in here do you see the word DBA. They're not accepting it. Okay. Where DBA comes into play. Let's say I had DBA after the word estate and then I put a name. If you put the name where it says who's the owner, it serves as the same thing. So Dorothy, Kansas, family of Oz estate. Nature, land surveying and estate development. Before we had used ministerial purposes with treaties within the USA. Some take it, some do not. But let's just call it what it is when it comes to the estate. Inheritance. So land surveying and estate development covers inheritance. Legal address. This can be a private box, but it has to be an address within the county of Lake County. Business, give them your business number, give them your business email address. And when we get down to the owner, who's the owner of the estate, the trust. So we're going to put Morpheus Matrix Express Trust. Put the address, which is the foreign address. Put the foreign address here. And if you got a foreign number, get one. Like you guys had used an extended stay address when you called the IRS, right? So get the extended stay number to that location and put it right there. They're not going to call it. They're not going to call it at all. So if the trust is placed right here, then who has to sign? Because they're asking for to get this notarized. So of course, the person that notarized this has to present ID. So that's either going to be you or your trustee, if they can. If they can't sign, then you can sign your name and put TTEE, which is short for trustee, or you can put trust protector or settler. You can do that. Why put yourself as trustee? Because you're not the sole trustee, you're just a co-trustee, just doing this document. That was all you're tasked to do in the presence of your foreign sole trustee who is not here. So you can do that. That does not mean that you've breached your trust in any way. Try that tactic, okay? For the next one, this is how you do the estate. So don't put your first, middle, last name. They're not going to accept it. Just do the estate. If they ask you what kind of entity is this, tell them it is an estate. This is what we do. This is an actual business. All of this is business. Second thing, express trust. So this is where you would take this name here, Morpheus Matrix Express Trust, and you put it up here as the business name. Who's the owner? Same thing. Leave this how it is. What do you put for the nature and purpose? This is where you put GRAT. Remember what GRAT stands for? Stands for grantor, retained, annuity, trust. This is the information that you give the banks when you open up your trust enterprise. Just do that. What's the next one? Next one is the trust enterprise. Same thing, just put the enterprise name here and leave the express trust as the owner. LLC, same thing. Put the LLC here. Now you can actually put what the LLC does. Let's say you do a credit repair. And who's the owner of the LLC that does credit repair? The trust. So this stays the same. Okay. So that's how you're going to do that. Those were all the notes that I got from you guys. So let me go ahead and get back to you guys to answer some questions. All right, we have Seti. You are unmuted.
Okay, thanks, Avery. What are the things that I should, or and this goes for everybody that's listening, what should we do or complete while we're waiting for our birth certificate to get authenticated?
While you're waiting for the BC to be done, there are a couple things that you can do. Have you gotten your estate number?
Yes, I've gotten my 98 number, my estate number, my foreign trustee, and I forget what else, but yes, to answer your question, yes.
Okay, good. So once you got all your EINs, you can now do that 8832 form, put that out into motion because that's going to be a while before it comes back. Now, let me say this. In the instructions in the course, I tell you to wait to do your non-UCC in the county until you get your ABC, right? Because I want you to list the certificate number that's on the ABC inside of the collateral box on the non-UCC form. However, guess what else is on that non-UCC form? Your equity secured promissory note that you guys have put together. So what I'm saying is you can move forward with your non-UCC while you're waiting for the ABC to come back, just as long as you put the promissory note detail in there. You already know what your base certificate of title number is, the birth certificate number. You can put the birth certificate number on there instead of the authenticated number. That way you can get your non-UCC into motion while you're waiting for the ABC to come back. So I would say do that. Get the 8832 done and get ready to file your non-UCC with your trust. Because the US Department of State is taking so long to return everybody's birth certificates. People are telling me that they just got it back, but it's been 7 months. So I don't want you to be on hold that long. So let's move forward and get the rest of the projects done.
So the non-UCC I can do, right?
Mm-hmm.
With the promissory note.
Mm-hmm.
And I can also do the passport. I asked you last weekend about the passport. I can do that. I can get that completed, right?
Yes, you can.
As well.
Yes, you can. Now, when you do that part, you know how in minutes 4 of your trust, it lists the details of your declaration of nationality. So when you go in to record your non-UCC, you're attaching that information to part of the non-UCC, which is going to have the county clerk's seal on it. And that is what you're going to use for the explanatory statements in your USA passport. So I would say get the county stuff done first, then you can move forward with the USA passport because you need to facilitate that explanatory statement requirement.
Okay, got it. Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right. Cool. Hey, Frenchie.
Hi. Thank you so much for going over the DBA. We definitely gonna do that now. We were so stuck for like a couple of weeks now. All right. So I want to talk about my ELOC. Even though you gave me the path, I want to go over a couple of things. So as I was mentioning, the last money order that I sent, I saw that they did not, they received it because I sent it certified with return receipt. So I know that they have it, but they didn't cash this one.
Mm-hmm.
And but I just received a notice. So for so long, they were not even sending me no letters, no nothing. And now they're sending me just a regular statement, but now they reverse the payment like I was explaining to you, but that's a money order. So I don't like, I don't know where that got reversed, but not to me for sure. I sent a letter last week asking them, I did, like you asked me, do they plan on giving me back the money or anything? But like I said, they never respond to any of the letters or the process that I've been doing. So this is where I'm at. I did the notice and demand for full disclosure. I kept track of everything on how I did it, right? I sent the money order the first time they cashed it. I sent the late fee and interest disputes before in July. They got it. I sent the bona fide dispute and notice of dishonor for non-response in August. I sent on another payment, to keep being in honor, right? The payment and they cashed that as well. But at that time, I was not very good at putting the proper description of accord and satisfaction at the bottom and on the back of the check. I had a hard time because my checks are not set up the way that your example was. So that's why I went with the money order, so I could do that. Then I sent the accord and satisfaction in September 10th with that money order. And then notice of default with the notary certificate. I sent a third-party collector removal with a cease and desist. And then the notice of dishonor in September 13th with that $350 of accord and satisfaction that this time I did the front and back, like, you show us, and that's why they didn't cash that one. So now on the 23rd, I sent that letter of dispute with showing also that it has been removed from Experian. It's only on Equifax and TransUnion now, but only showing as, it got added in September, but not in default or anything. They're just not even showing any payment made. So I froze my TransUnion credit. That's done and everything. But now I'm like, I did my land recording. I did my promissory note. I have, I own my home because I paid it cash. So that's on ELOC. So I did my recording, my non-UCC, all that stuff. I have that. My trust, my land trust is recorded. My non-UCC is done. I did the amendment as well. I did the copywriting. Before I do that lawsuit that you gave me, I just want to make sure, am I supposed to do a 1099 for the first servicer to prove that this is done? Because the first servicer is showing on my credit report on all three that, it has been done, like it's closed. You know what I mean?
Right.
So am I supposed to do a 1099 with the first servicer so I can just show that, hey, it's done? Should I do that as well?
No.
No.
We're not going to do a 1099.
Okay.
What we're going to do is tell me from the very first payment that you sent in accord and satisfaction, what month was that?
It was in July.
July.
It was July 21st. Money order.
Okay. So the second one was in August.
The second one was in August. Yes.
And we're about to do one. You also did one in September.
And
right?
I did one in September, and that's the one that they did not cash.
Cool.
And that they reversed. So at first they show, so on my statement that they sent me in October, that I received in October 3rd, it shows there, but then reversed, which is crazy to me. That's where I was like, okay. And so then I look up.
Good news for you.
Okay.
They often try to send back the final one when they know they've messed up. So you're coming up on exactly 90 days from the July payment.
Yep.
That means you now have full right to serve a bill of complaint when that time comes. That means you're going to sue the bank.
I'm what? I'm sorry. What did you say about the bank?
You are going to sue the bank with a bill of complaint.
Okay.
For breach of contract. And once that 90 days has lapsed, there is nothing they can say because you never received a credit to the HELOC and you never received the refund within 90 days.
Correct.
That's all.
But so is that the 90 days from the first payment in July or the 90 days from the $350 that I just made in September that they reversed? but I
90
never.
days from the very first accord and satisfaction, because everything
So-
else after that is considered under duress.
Correct. So, all right. So from July. So
Correct.
July 21st. Okay.
Mhm.
And then from that, bill of complaint for breach of contract. So I sent that to them, to the bank.
No,
Am I,
no,
I-
you go down
no.
to court
oh, okay. So
and
I'm
you
doing that.
file the
at
complaint.
court.
You're going to file a lawsuit.
File lawsuit. So from that, so from the last time, file a lawsuit, and that's my trust who's suing them, correct? That's
Your
not me.
trust is the complainant, which is the plaintiff, and the
Okay.
bank, including the president and whoever else you can find on public record, they will be the defendant.
So should I put the Illinois State Controller and the Illinois Attorney General? That's the two that I was thinking, but I don't know if I should.
I would serve the Attorney General because he is the one who approves all of the statutes and codes that they're going to use to fight against you.
Okay, so I serve them. Okay, my understanding was under duress to get all the money back.
Get all the
Correct.
money back, and you're asking for double the face value of the HELOC.
Okay, yes. All right, because I already paid back at that time, I've been doing good. So they already
Good.
got, so I remember you were talking about the less than 75K or something. So I owe less than that. I owe less than 60K.
Okay.
So, but the ELOC was 90. So am I suing for double of 90 or a double
Yes.
of 60? Double of 90.
Right. You took you accepted a new refinance with the 90, not the 60.
Okay, so 180 basically.
Basically.
Okay. That's it for that. So that was my biggest thing, was for that.
All
Now
right.
you
Now let me get to all the hands up, and if I can get through all of them. Remember, one
Thank you.
question per person, and then we're going to come back if we have the time.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. Karif, how you doing, sir?
Hey, how you doing, Avery?
I'm good. Thank you.
So I kind of was piggybacking on the DBA situation with Frenchie and CJ, but I'm in Maryland. And the issue that I'm having with the DBA is I can't use the word trust in a DBA. So it kind of binds me from connecting the trust enterprise to the express trust.
Mhm.
And so I'm trying to figure out the workaround from that. My thought is to establish an unincorporated association and try to link everything from that unincorporated association. But I guess the thought is will that unincorporated association be able to encompass the trust enterprise and all of the entities to actually feed into the express trust?
No, that would be backwards. We
Okay.
don't want to say the unincorporated association is doing business as the trust. It'd have to be the other way around. So my best advice, because look, I looked into Maryland. Looks like everything that goes on there is done within the land records with the courts. And so you're talking about doing a trade name application with the Department of State. That's how they have it set up there. And I don't like that. So what I'm going to suggest for you is to just go to another state. Do it in Florida.
Okay.
Do it in Florida.
Okay.
You're going to have to pick an address in the county that you're going to go with. The best way to get you an address is to utilize, go to loopnet.org and pick a commercial property there. That doesn't necessarily mean that whoever is going to get that property on a lease, that you're subject to them or they're going to be in trouble by what you're doing. No, because no mail is going to be received there, right? You're just going to
Okay.
list that as a principal property and then put your Maryland address for the mailing address.
Okay, well, I have family in Florida and I'm actually relocating to Florida in the near future. So my thought or plan was to also record my trust in Manatee County.
Mhm.
But what I would probably have to do is gain a percentage of my mother-in-law's property as well as my wife gaining a percentage of her property so we can record both her trust and my trust. And so then I can actually tether that with recording the DBAs in Manatee County then, I guess.
You could. You could. All you got
Okay.
to do is just state how much of the percentage you want to list on this.
Okay, so I could actually try. Okay, I'm gonna look into Manatee County then and try to do my DBAs because Maryland is a doozy when
Yes,
it
it is. Hey,
comes
if it was
to.
a doozy for me trying to figure that out, I'm not going to waste my time with it. Maryland and Virginia are always weird like that. If you think about it,
Mhm,
that's where DC is sitting anyway, in between both. So that means
right.
we got a lot of Vatican stuff happening in those areas. So I'd say get out of there and go to a more better republic.
Got you. Sounds good. Okay. Thank you, Avery.
Your problem, no problem. You're welcome. Let me share my screen real quick. Let me show you something. This here, see, this is in Seminole County, and they allow you to look up records there. So I typed in there, they have a book called Just Straight Fictitious Name. And here's a business that was done in 1965. If I zoom in here, you'll see they typed it up themselves, right?
Mhm,
Real simple. Sworn to, and then they recorded it with the Sanford Herald independent newspaper.
okay.
So you can make up your own.
Got you. And I would have to go through the process of basically putting out in the newspaper for the 30 days or something like that.
Yeah, they circulated for 4 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah. And once you've
Okay.
done that, then you send it into the county and they'll record the whole thing.
Because I get a certified copy that it's been circulated for 4 weeks, correct?
Exactly. Exactly.
Okay.
So you would type this up, get it notarized, send it to Sanford Herald. They put this statement on here, right here at the bottom. They'll give you this entire paperback and then you send it to the county to record.
Got you. Okay. So is that for Manatee County or would that be for where I'm currently at in Maryland?
No, this is Seminole County, Florida, but
Okay.
Manatee County works the same as Seminole County.
Got you. Okay. I got you.
See, everybody, they want you to go to Sunbiz and pay extreme amounts of money to get it recorded there, when that's just going to go directly to the jurisdiction of the Secretary of State. You want to, and that's not the court. The court is the clerk. So this is why you can type your own and send it down to the county and can get an actual court record like this.
Okay. Okay.
That's why I was suggesting those affidavits of domicile for your child and for yourself to be done in the county because it's a court record.
Got you. Got you. Okay. And I just wanted to share something real quick. It's been a little while, but my experience with my wife getting her 9-8 number, I think that Q&A was a little short, so I didn't get a chance to share it, but her experience was very unique because first off, the agent said, "Oh, well, you can fax it to us." I said, "Fax it to you?" I told her, I said, "No, I can give you the information over the phone." So that kind of forced him to take the information over the phone. And then after that, he put us on a hold saying, "Oh, well, let me see if I can continue with this application. I need to check with my supervisor to see if this information I can continue."
Mm-hmm.
So he kind of put us on hold for a little while and then he came back. And it just seemed as if he kept trying to figure out ways to kind of trip us up as far as her giving him the information. And but I told her stick to the script, and the script is the SS4 form. And he would ask questions according to the SS4 form, and I would explain to her, ask him, is he referring to this number on the form? Because he was asking about an address, and I think that might be 11. I don't have the form in front of me, but I told her, I said, ask him, is he referring to number such and such? He said, oh, yes, that's the one I'm referring to. Well, yes, this is the address or whatever the information was. And eventually he gave us the number, but he was really, he did a lot of extra stuff. So for any of the students that haven't got the 9-8 number, just be prepared for any and everything, and have your SS4 form filled out, and just follow the SS4 form, because they look for any avenue to try to trip you up.
Yes, they do. That's their job, especially in that department. That's their job. So
Right.
yes, thank you for sharing that. That way people know that it's not just us going through that, but yeah, they do that all the time.
Right. Thanks, Avery.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm glad you got the number.
Right.
All right. AJ, how you doing? You are unmuted.
Okay, let me turn off, plug this thing so the speakers don't give you feedback. Can you hear me?
Oh yeah, we can hear you.
Welcome
How's it
back
going?
from your trip. Every time I think of my question, I listen to everybody else and I forget my question. You know, since my brain is all over the place here, you said you're going to get back to us in 2 weeks. Are you going to schedule a time? Because
what I've been doing was randomly giving people calls, and if they call, if they answer, that's great. And when they do answer, they say, okay, look, we're going to do within the next 2 hours or on this day here. And that's what I'll put down in my schedule, and I'll do it that way. But now I'm caught up with my regular consultation. So all private consultations or private clients will be called this week. So I will be giving you a call, or whoever else is a private client here listening in. If you're not available, you're not available, but I'm now on your time. I'm on your guys' time. So this week. So just look out for that. I'll be calling from that new number as well.
Okay. So just real brief, are we all set with everything? Is there anything else that I need to do to prepare?
To prepare? No, you don't need to do anything. We got some news for you in regards to your trucks file. I would like to talk to you about that. But you're good to go. As far as the whole point is for you guys to relax, until this thing is done. We're battling it out with these courts and these county offices for you guys, but just relax. And as we get things that come in, we'll let you know.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But if you have additional questions that comes to your memory, raise your hand again. I think we have time to make rounds again.
All right.
Okay. All right. Trung, how you doing? You there?
I am. How are you?
Doing well. Thank you.
Awesome. So I had a question about, I went down to the clerk's office to record the trust. She originally denied it, said some stuff like, oh, we don't record contracts. And finally, she ended up saying, look, we can't record this as a trust. And you're going to have to take out the UCC and the promissory note. And we'll record it as a notice, which she did. I got the book and page number. So my question is that, what I need to do if she's saying that it's not recorded as a trust, even though all the documents say it is a trust?
Yes, you're good.
Oh,
They just
all
want
right.
to classify it and put it in certain books. Most likely that sounds like she put it in the miscellaneous file.
Okay,
Yeah.
and then
That's
so,
where you want to be anyway, miscellaneous on the real estate section.
okay, good.
Yeah.
And then so I got to do the UCC and the promissory note still. But from you answering that question, where if I'm trying to sell my property, it's probably not a good thing to do at this time with that my home address.
If you want to sell, and you could do it. I just wouldn't further apply with the assessor's office to remove it off the tax roll. But yeah, you can sell it. But the goal is, if you use this kind of trust to do it, then you want to keep it forever. But sometimes you never know. You have to sell. Life
Right.
brings those type of curves where you just got to do it. So
Yeah. No, I'm in the process of selling it. So I just want to get the UCC recorded, so that way the collateral for the birth certificate and all that stuff is recorded. So maybe I have some property in Florida. I could just use that address and record the non-UCC down there, right?
yes, you can. We've got a lot of marshlands out here that's available that no one wants, so you can use that as well for surveying.
Okay. All right, so I'll look into that.
That's what I did.
All right, great. All right, I appreciate you. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. All right. Syria. I hope I pronounced your name right. Is that correct? All you got to do is unmute your mic. Syria?
Hello. Hi. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Hello.
Hi. Thank you for taking my call. I'm new. I'm super new, so please forgive my super newbie question. My birth certificate, the one where my mother signed it, her signature's on it, doctor's signature's on it, and head doctor, I believe it is, signature is on it. It's in upper and lowercase. I keep running into the same question mark. I keep bumping into this question mark when I go to fill out my paperwork. My name is in upper and lowercase. So when I ordered a new copy, it was in all caps. So which one is the true, and which one is my straw?
They're both your straw.
Okay.
They're both. When you were born, the initial application gave birth to what's called the long form birth certificate. That's like 8 by 14, and sometimes even longer. That's the original one. And no matter how much we fight the courts or whoever to ask for a copy of that one, they will not give it to us. And even on that one, it's all caps, and sometimes it's uppercase with some capital letters on there or some lowercase letters on there. It doesn't matter. The fact that you have a birth certificate that was registered into the county for the purpose of distributing money into the economy, it's all going to be your straw. It doesn't matter the proper tense that you see your name. So when you do your authentication process completely, that's going to put yours on par with the original, the one that they won't give you. Now, when you've done that, what I've shown today, you're going to take that affidavit and do that process. So now your trust has a legitimate claim on the court record holding that authenticated birth certificate. So yours holds a higher claim than the actual counties and the states and the US government.
Okay, so on my paperwork, should I do my straw in all caps or upper and
It
lower?
really doesn't matter. You can do upper and lowercase, you can do all caps. They're both the same.
Okay,
Both.
and then I had a married name and now my divorced name. So between the name on my birth certificate and my new name after the divorce, which one is my straw?
Go with the one that's on the birth certificate.
Okay.
Okay. Now, do you currently still have the married name on your
No, I
driver's license?
changed it. I changed it. I have an old Florida driver's license in my married name. I kept it, but it's expired.
Oh, okay, I see. Okay, yeah, go off of the birth certificate name.
Okay. All right.
All right.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Very welcome. And please do not be shy to ask if you are new. I welcome you. I welcome all questions. No question can be repeated enough here because this is an important subject.
Thank
I'm
you.
going to go to James. You are unmuted.
Hey Avery, how you doing? I'm glad that your mom's all right, and I'm glad you made it safely back from Bogota and stayed.
Oh, yes.
Oh,
Thank you
yeah.
very, very much. I'm going to be going back there because, as you know, there's people that I gotta see. So, and mom's doing well. She's acting like she didn't even go through surgery the very next day. Actually, when she woke up, I was like, wow, incredible. So God's good. Thank you.
To be honest, I didn't even know that your mom was going into surgery. I just know that, you know, going back and forth to Mexico and everything, you
Mhm.
had a huge ordeal going on. So I know that there's been a lot of forks in the road and a lot of adversity lately. So I
Yes,
did know that, but I didn't know about the surgery part.
yes, yes, yes. Thank you very much for the prayers.
No problem. I had a two-parter, and I'm speaking on behalf of somebody else, but I'm not going to say their name. You already know who. But basically, if you already have your trust set up
Mhm.
and you're no longer doing any business associated with your social, is that one of the
I think we lost you. Still there?
yeah, phone call coming in, I had to decline it. Is that one of the reasons why the SBA, even if you have an outstanding loan with them, they can only collect on that loan, correct, if you're doing anything still associated to your social, right? So if you haven't received an email from them and you know it's past due for them to tell you, oh, well, it's time for you to start paying on your loan, is that because the trust is in place?
No, no. They're just going to randomly do that. But if you wanted to absolutely take care of that loan, even after the trust is established, we know how to do that, right? We know how to go after it and shut it down. With that SBA loan, because the SBA has the administrator who's the administrator of GSA,
Okay.
send a GSA bond, right? You can do a GSA bond. You can do an accord of satisfaction, which will always work with them. And even if they continue to email you saying your loan is due, we've noticed that they've removed it from the credit reports after an accord of satisfaction, and we didn't have to sue them at all. It was completely off of the credit report, and yet they still send out those messages to whoever has been in their email chain.
Okay. That was the other thing I was going to ask you about. Going through the whole process and setting up whatever it is they have you set up. I can't remember what it is, but they set up, they have you set up like a payment account process or whatever thing. And then you go through their system or whatever. And every time you go through their system, you got to fill out this information just to make a payment. What we found is with the SBA loan payments, from what I understand with accord and satisfaction, you have to render them an actual check through the mail, correct? So SBA only has payments set up through PayPal, your bank account, or your debit card. There is no option on there for you to actually render them a check through the mail. And I don't know if because they know about the accord and satisfaction, so they purposely did that. That's what I was thinking, but I don't know.
You're supposed to find out who gave you the money as a partner with SBA. There's a separate bank that gives you the money, and they're the ones that you can find all their address information. That's what we did. It was a local bank in our county that gave the money. It didn't come directly from SBA. SBA is just a facilitator. And
Find
so,
out.
yeah, look inside your promissory note or the documents that you signed that you have from SBA It'll tell you who the bank is. And from there, you'll be able to find their headquarters and send them the money order.
Okay, because what I did was, because I didn't want to be late on payments, because obviously you've been tied up. I wasn't able to get a hold of you to bring this matter to your attention. I made my first electronic payment. So, just so I wouldn't be, late or whatever it's called, delinquent on my payment or whatever, until, I got a hold of you to figure out what to do.
Right. That's fine. That's fine.
So find out the bank that loaned me the money, look through my paperwork.
Yep. Look through the paperwork and find the actual local bank that loaned you the loan.
Okay.
And you'll look them up, and that, pretty sure you'll find who the president is, where they're located, and you can begin the accord and satisfaction process with them.
Okay. And where located and begin. Okay.
Yes,
Yeah, that-
Michael, you can do a successful accord of satisfaction. I'm sorry, Jane, let me just answer this question in the chat really quick. Michael was asking, when you finalize your payments via accord of satisfaction and they continue to send you bills, will you be able to get a paid title and sell your car or home? If they close out the loan and give you the title without you having to go to the courts or sue them, then yes. We've seen that before. I've seen a $40,000 home in Georgia out in Douglas County where he sent in one payment, accord of satisfaction, and they actually called him and said his debt has been forgiven. And they gave him a 1099-C, and therefore he got the title. But if that doesn't happen, then you have to sue, go to court, take about 3 to 6 months and get the title that way. So good question. Good question. All right, James, sorry about that. Go ahead.
No, that's what been dangling above my head for the last couple of weeks while I was trying to bring it to your attention, because obviously nobody wants a almost $20,000 loan hanging over their head when the government's the one that screwed up the economy to begin with, and they should just be giving us grants, but instead they tell us, oh, well, here, we'll just give you a loan that you have to pay back. But that's neither here nor there.
Right. I know. And we already know how those loans work, So yeah, find that bank, do an accord of satisfaction process on them, and then take them into court. That way you can get double the face value of the loan or close to it.
Oh, okay. So not only do I get the money back, and that's the other thing that I was going to ask about was with accord and satisfaction. That has to do with like your treasury account, right? Because before we got put into the system, all of our debts were supposed to have already been paid off. We don't have any debts, correct? Am I on the right path there?
No. We don't focus on treasury accounts here.
Okay.
The TDA accounts and all of that, don't even waste your time trying to go after that. And actually closed that out 10 years ago.
Okay. Well, I'm just trying to understand how the debt is satisfied. That's basically what I was trying to figure out. That's why I brought that up.
Gotcha. So when you do a loan, let's say it's $10,000. You fill out the application. Application is eventually going to turn into a check. That's what the banks are going to do. The bank is a middleman, acts as a gateway to the treasury window. So when it gets to the treasury window, that $10,000 check now becomes $100,000. So $90,000 is now gave to the bank in the form of credit. And then here comes that $10,000 back to you at escrow, making you think the bank gave it to you. So that $10,000 is now going to be deposited into their account, which is going to be, well, it depends on what their reserve ratio is under fractional reserve lending. Under fractional reserve lending, they have different ratios. So that $10,000 is now going to be a total of, let's say, times 9, an additional $9,000 that's now being able to be printed or in the form of credit that people can utilize. So the entire people that use that money or that credit is now paying back the interest on that little $10,000 that you took. Now that is on the public side. The private side, who knows how much is on that side? There's a lot more. So you have to discharge both sides. Accord and satisfaction allows you to do the entire obligation and also get damages of up to double the face value of the actual loan that you got. That's according to the Section 33 of the National Bank Act, remember, 1863. So double the face value is nowhere near what's on the private side, but they're still only going to give you a little piece. You know, so that's the game that they play. 1 second.
So kind of like the same principle of when somebody goes into the bank to deposit their money, only 10% of that money stays in the bank, and then they ship off and invest the other 90%, something along those lines.
Right. And every bank has their own reserve ratio. Every bank, some of them have 90%.
Okay.
Which is crazy. So
all right, well, thank you for letting me know what I need to do to get the ball rolling, to get this monkey off of my back, which I'm sure you'll tell me, this is, it's going to become like, something as easy as the back of my hand as I, get the trust process done and start dealing with this stuff. I'll get real used to it after a while, huh?
yes, you will. You have no choice but to get familiar with everything the more you stay in it.
Okay. Thank you very much, Avery.
All right, James, no problem. All right, we're going to, let's see, I don't want to mispronounce the name. So the last part says APNN. All you got to do is unmute your mic. Akau, APNN. Is that you? Nope. All right. Gene, you are unmuted.
Hey, Avery, I really want to say how much I appreciate you taking time out to teach all of us. But I set up an appointment for next week. But first of all, I wanted to get my trustee set up for the Express Trust. I already have it named, ordered my seal or my embosser. And do I need to set up a private consultation with you to get that to get my foreign national trustee?
To get a foreign trustee with us, all you do is go on Patreon and type in foreign trustee application. You first fill that out, send that to my assistant. Her information is inside that application. And that application will also serve as a receipt upon successful payment transfer. And you will then receive what's called hold harmless indemnity agreement between you and the trustee.
Okay.
That agreement is also going to say that the trustee has the right to go ahead and allow you to become what's called a second trustee of another trust. And that trust will be what's called a U.S. agent, a plenipotentiary power contract that allows you to do your own affairs and your own businesses on behalf of that foreign trustee who's in another country.
Okay.
So you get 2 contracts there, and you're also going to get a copy of their valid passport and their electronic signature. You have the choice to take that electronic signature to get a stamp so that you can use it whenever you need to for future documents.
All right. Very
That's all you
good.
gotta do.
All right. And also, before I discovered 0%, I engaged another guy to help me. And I had my birth certificate double authenticated like 4 years ago. And one of the instructions he gave me was to put a cover letter over it and send it to the Treasury. And I wanted to get your opinion on that. And should I get additional copies of the double authenticated certificate?
So anytime you see where there other schools of thought out there talking about sending your birth certificate to the Treasury,
Right.
that is playing into the hand of the actual government. They're the ones who put that out there because they cannot go to the county and get a copy of your birth certificate. You can. So they have to put something out there to where you can go get it or a company can go get it on your behalf, authenticated put some type of indemnity agreement, otherwise known as a security agreement with it, and a $100 million promissory note with it. And they would send that to the Treasury and say, here, use this however you want, but the residual, I want you to put it into my Treasury direct account and let me have access to it. And that never happens. What happens is you've just gave them the money and an insurance agreement, so you can't sue them. So that's what I don't want people to do.
Okay.
It's not going to give you any favor. So don't worry about that. If you have your authenticated birth certificate that was done 4 years ago, you're good. Follow the instructions in today's class about the next part, which is the affidavit of domicile.
Okay.
And
All
get
right.
that recorded in your local county.
All right. So another question now, when I eventually do go to my county, and I'm also under some kind of understanding that you have to go to your birth county to make your claim. Is that true or false, or?
You can, but it's not necessary.
Okay.
Any county of record is going to be justified.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. No problem. All right. Gonna go to Mario. You are unmuted.
Hey, Avery, how's it going?
Good. Thank you.
So I had a two-part question. The person basically that was saying that I could use their burial plot to record my UCC and my trust. He's kind of wishy-washy, you know what I mean? So I need to be able to articulate how I would be able to accept and him grant me that 0.001% to ensure him that, you know, there'd be nothing going wrong with that property. So my question is, how do I obtain that 0.001% in order to record that on my my documents?
Well, does he think you're going to build a house on a burial plot?
No, it's just that it's his wife already passed away and his burial plot is right next to it and it's already purchased. But, you know, explaining the process to people, once they hear like, oh, I don't have to pay taxes, you know, they get all excited and stuff. But then when you start talking about the contracts and agreements and how the trust works and, you know what I mean, they kind of get like, I don't know, they get scared and the brain turns off to like what this process actually is.
Right.
So they get scared pretty much, you know?
Yeah, it's natural. It's natural. And you're going completely against the grain here. With people have never heard this before. Well, if you want to share a burial plot, and I'm pretty sure he doesn't have it in a trust as well, he just has it in his name. And he wants to ensure that when his time comes, that he will be able to use that space for him to be next to his wife and not have you interfere with that. So what you have to do, he doesn't really care about the percentage. We don't really care about the ownership and the value of it. What he cares about is you writing down specifically, expressed word for word, what you cannot do with that place. And you would have to have that written down. You sign it, he signs it, he agrees. You both go in and take that down to the county, and that'll be that. Now, if he feels like at some point you may do something, well, he needs to have what's called a fiduciary that works for him to have his best interest at hand if he were to ever meet his demise early. So that way that person can facilitate his wishes in that agreement.
Okay.
That's all. He just needs a valid contract that he or someone else can enforce.
And would that paper that me and him would sign, is that being recorded, or and then also too, would I be put on his deed?
You're gonna have to do a quick claim if he already has a deed in the county right now that shows that he owns that burial plot.
Yes.
So it will be him as the grantor quick claiming to the trust. Now, this is what I suggest. You two create a trust together. Okay. let him have 100% ownership, but you're listed on there as a worker or something like that,
Okay.
authorized person. And that third trust would allow you to get your Ezekiel Armani trust in the door.
Okay.
You do it that way.
Okay. So the other part of my question, say if he is uncomfortable with doing this process, I know that you have spoke about filing a miscellaneous deed filing in order to record on the non-UCC and trust documents. How would I go about doing that?
Got a busy phone. Hold on. What I suggest is there's what's called a memorandum of trust. In other words, an abstract of contract. The terms are the same thing, but they're a little bit different depending on where you are. Some people are having issues with recording their trusts in certain counties. So you have to go in another way. They say, hey, don't want to do a declaration. Then, okay, we're going to call it a memorandum of trust. And that means two separate recordings. One is a memorandum of trust, which is basically your declaration that you guys have in the course. And the other one is going to be a separate filing, which is the UCC financing statement. So before it was together as a packet, but now you're going to have to split it up to get them to be like, oh, okay, now I see what you're doing. We can record this. What I wanted to do was show that I'm just waiting for the Department of State to give me the recorded part, and then I can show you what this looks like on every level of government. You know me, I like to show complete information before I do it. Okay. And if I talk about it, that means it's coming for sure. I don't like to show things or say things that I haven't done myself. So look inside your county records, search for words such as memorandum of trust or abstract of contract. If you find those, then that is going to be the other way you can record your trust in the county without having to use a burial plot or any land.
Okay. Cool.
All right.
All right, Avery. Well, thank you so much for your time.
Not a problem. Right. Let's see. Jonathan, how you doing, sir?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Great. Question, the burial plot, was there another video where you spoke about that? And if not, could you give the details? Because I have ancestors in several states going all the way back to like 1640s.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
If you can prove you're connected to them, yes, you can use that as real property to place inside your trust or your non-UCC to get it recorded in that county. All you have to do is get that legal description information and the right to say, look, I'm basically related to the deceased here, and you want to have this property in the family trust.
Okay, so burial plots have a legal description?
Yes, they do.
I was unaware of that. So that is something that's already at the county somewhere?
It is, but if you go to the actual cemetery, they'll give it to you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, see, Sons of the American Revolution helped me do my ancestry because my ancestors fought in every war from the 1630s all the way up to and through World War II, my direct paternal bloodline.
Mm-hmm.
So I got lots of work to do on these burial plots.
Yeah, that's a lot of work. I'd be interested to see how that turns out, see what you find.
Oh yeah, I'll definitely keep you posted.
Yeah, not only that, you want to find out if there's any other land that they've had that could be laying dormant, unclaimed.
Right. Yeah, and then I'm gonna be looking into military pensions that didn't come to fruition, or stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
because they were supposed to give out, that old adage about 40 acres and a mule or whatever. Mm-hmm. That was a lot of the soldiers were supposed to get land.
Oh, yeah. I mean, and you'll find that language in the Royal Proclamation that, soldiers were supposed to get land too, but they're not just going to give it to you willy-nilly. You have to apply for it.
Exactly. Okay,
Yes,
thank you. I
yeah.
yield.
Okay, yeah, you definitely contact the cemetery and they'll give you the legal description.
All right, appreciate it.
You're welcome. Shuby Yahoo. I believe that's Mr. Michael Day himself, right? Shuby Yahoo. I like it.
Shabbat Shalom. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I can hear you.
Great, great. Good to hear from you. Good to know that you're back safely.
Thank you.
The question I have was about the UCC 11, I think it was. Let me make
Okay.
sure. And I think that's the one you sent to the UCC 11. Is that has to be done before the UCC 1? Or the non-UCC rather?
There's two submissions. You can do that now if you haven't done a UCC 1 or a non-UCC. The reason why we do that is we want the Secretary of State to give us proof that you don't owe anybody anything. If you have a car loan, if you have a mortgage, that's supposed to show up with the Secretary of State that you owe the banks. And the reason why they don't record proper loans with the Secretary of State is because you truly don't owe them anything. So you get the proof from the Secretary of State that you don't owe anybody. Then you were to do your non-UCC in the county, followed by a reference of that non-UCC by filing a UCC 1 with the Secretary of State. Once that's done, you do another UCC 11. And now what's going to come back is you are owing money to your trust, because what's attached to that UCC 1 is the $9 billion lien, promissory note.
Okay.
So now you have a discrepancy here, right? You'll see that now today you show that you owe money to the trust, but back then, before that recording, you didn't owe anybody anything, and yet the banks are still enforcing payment. So who holds the higher lien? It'd be your trust.
Correct.
And that's your evidence you can use if you have to sue them in court and do a bill of complaint or something like that. Or even if you're doing bankruptcy and they're trying to force you to sell your assets to pay those debts off. Well, no, according to the Secretary of State, as a witness, I don't owe them anything.
Okay, great. I sent off my UCC 11 last week, and it showed from the post office that they received it Thursday. So that's great. The other thing was the gentleman before, I think his name was Karif. He would say he's from Maryland. I am also from Maryland, and I was able to get my DBAs recorded. And from what I was wanting to let him know is that all he had to do was put the name of the trust, leave out foreign trust or leave out the trust part, just put the name, and they'll take it that way.
Yeah, sometimes you can just put Morpheus Matrix and don't even put Express Trust at the end.
Right.
However, you may run into an issue when you have to use that document to enforce it in court.
Well,
because if
you say in court?
Yeah, in court. A lot of times we like to use our DBAs to show the courts that, hey, if you're dealing with me, my first, middle, last name, you're also dealing with the trust. And here's the DBA to prove it. So if I were to just say on that document, Morpheus Matrix, and say, oh, this is the trust and it's doing business as me, it doesn't really show that. Right? The judge has said that before. Well, it just says Morpheus Matrix. It doesn't say that it's a trust, because on that form with Maryland, you don't get anywhere on there where you can check off a box that says trust or unincorporated association or anything.
Correct.
So we have to actually put on there what it is. And they will let you do it if it's what? A corporation, an LLC, a limited partnership, but they won't let you do it with the trust because they know what power that will give you. So they kind of make us work harder. Either you leave the state or you go find another way to do it within the land record.
Okay.
You know,
because I was saying that mine got accepted and I was able to open up a bank account also.
Good, good. Good. It's just a swing and a miss. It also depends on how you're going to use the document too. So you've used it to open up bank accounts. I know that Karif is also going to be working on some cases coming up. So he definitely wants to have no doubt in his mind that when he supplies a document, it must say exactly what it is, that it is a trust. For example, here in California, if I were to say Morpheus Matrix, and I don't put anywhere on there that it says express trust, but my intention is that Morpheus Matrix is a trust and it's doing business as my name, they want me to first establish Morpheus Matrix express trust somewhere within the accounting. It has to say that somewhere. My only thing to rely on is the actual trust document. So it just depends on what you're using it for, what you're using it for, you know. And I'm glad you're able to get yours in at that time, because maybe you had a nicer clerk than Karif had.
Maybe, I don't know, but it was in, and I was able to use also the DBAs to open up the trust account,
Good.
enterprise account.
Excellent. I'm glad it worked for you. So
Thank
Karif,
you,
there's
sir.
still hope.
Appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. All right. We're going to go to John Turner. You are unmuted.
Hello, Avery.
Hello there.
Big fan. Read your book. It was over the summer, and actually I read it twice, and amazing work. And also just recently signed up as a private client, and then have been delving into your videos and just really impressed with your work. So very much appreciated.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you saying that. Thank you.
So my question relates to, I filed a tax extension and at the end of March in 8878. And that date, that new filing date is by October 17th. So I talked to Isaiah, and we discussed how to best address this with an accord and satisfaction. However, I haven't gotten anything started. I'm going to get help with this, but I haven't gotten anything started with my trust. And when I looked up the letter template on part, you had it included in, I watched both videos, but the letter template example that you provided for the IRS was in the instructions within part 14 and 16. And so there's, questions about the sole trustee, the copyright, straw man name, the social security, which could also be the foreign EIN number.
Right.
And then also the lien, which would assume that we've got an authenticated birth certificate, and none of that has kind of been in process yet. So what am I going to be able to get for this to be able to send an accord and satisfaction? What can I include now as that can be satisfactory October 17th?
Good question. What can you submit in the time of crisis or to prevent a crisis before all the elements of the trust is done, which is basically the question.
Yes, sir.
And the thing with accord and satisfaction is that you can be highly successful with it even without the trust. Now, I've made those templates to work with the trust, but you can remove all of that information and just keep it to brass tacks, simple terms, which is, this is who you are, this is the EIN that they're coming after. And an accord and satisfaction is basically a breach of contract. If they accepted a payment and they didn't refund it within a certain amount of time, 90 days, you now can take them to court over that. And yes, you can take the IRS to court. They have this, they pretty much have accord and satisfaction in their own books called Offer and Compromise, Form 656. But accord and satisfaction is better because you can actually sue them for not accepting it, or they accept it, but for not honoring it. So what I would like to do while your trust is being prepped and everything, I can still mention your trust name in the document, in the bona fide dispute letter, even though it's not registered anywhere, because as of right now, it's considered an implied trust,
Right.
right? You can still use the
Yeah.
trust name. We have an associate who's working on getting your 9(8) number. We'll have that. You don't necessarily need that to send this bona fide dispute letter, but it will be done by the time it's time to go to court if we have to.
Right.
So I will help you tailor this letter to send it out. I do
Great.
understand, to be discreet, there was a certain dollar amount that you've already sent out to them.
Correct.
And now you're working on the next payment.
Yes, sir.
The next payment can be any dollar amount that you want, because I know that the first payment has already satisfied 10% of the entire debt. So
Correct.
the next payment can be anything you want. We're going to write the specific accord and satisfaction information on the front of the check and on the back of the check. It's what you call a restrictive endorsement. And just that one alone is going to trigger a pause, so to speak, with the IRS. You're not going to be receiving any more notices in the mail. If you do, that gives us the full right to go ahead and open up a lawsuit against them.
Okay.
Okay. So if you would like to go down that route, don't be afraid to do it, but that is an option for you to do.
Great. So we can get that addressed this week or this coming week.
Yes, we can. Yes, we
Perfect.
can. All right.
Thank you. And
got you.
really great to finally meet you.
Likewise. Thank you. Thank you. I know you had some time to talk with Isaiah first, but we will be conversing in the near future.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And let's see. Oh, let's try again. We got APNN, a cow positive news network.
Hey, it's me.
Hey there.
Okay, that's Positive News Network. You can call me Dorothy.
Dorothy. Okay. How you doing,
Okay.
Dorothy?
Hey, so I got two questions. One kind of why it's fresh on my mind about what John said. I'm also a new client, and we yet to get started on mine. And I want to know, what do I need to do to expedite a process for, I drive Uber and Lyft. I got the IRS on my back, and the IRS and I have been, we've been negotiating, but they've been pausing every 90 days. They've been postponing my offer in compromise. And then finally, I had talked to a lady about a month ago, and she told me that she was denying my claim because I made so much money, which I didn't. It was an error from an employer. So she told me I had to prove it. Along with, she said, oh, and don't forget to just call me and then I'll send you the letter. So now I thought that was the dumbest thing she could have ever said, to remind her to send out the letter that I was not approved.
Mm-hmm.
So she has not sent the letter out or anything yet, but I didn't want them, because every time they garnish my bank account, I was able to get the IRS to refund the money back to the account from whatever Spirit told me to tell them. Because I can't tell you how they did it. I just know they did it. And I just want to prevent that and get my Uber and Lyft business in the right space. And I don't know, you don't know that yet, because you and I haven't really talked yet about it.
Right.
That's one situation. And then the other one is about I heard him talking about the plot. Can we do that with homestead? I'm from Hawaii originally, and my grandmother's house is there. It's fully paid off, but it's in the homestead. We got it for 99 years or whatever concoction they set up. And I was trying to figure out, could I put the percentage on it? If my cousins and them give me that percentage that I need to file in Hawaii as well.
Mm-hmm. 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 All right.
I do know my grandfather has a plot.
Okay. Good. All right. We got two questions here. Let's go with the first one. See, with offer and compromise, they play games because that's their baby. That's theirs. That's theirs. Okay. So they can't do that with accord and satisfaction. Now, how much of a percentage would you say you've already paid towards the total debt? How much percentage?
From what we agreed on, I
5%.
think 20% of the final agreement of what they said to send them.
Mm-hmm.
And then they told me not to send them anymore.
Mm-hmm. So you sent
So
them 20% so far.
Correct. And then they said, do not send any more money until we finish going over your review. They postponed it 120 days and then another 90 days. And now they're trying to do this again.
All right. Did you know only 10% is required under accord and satisfaction? So you will, while they're doing their whole investigation, whatever, you're going to do the bona fide dispute letter, wait 15 days, or you can even wait 7 days. You can put whatever number you want, at least 3. 3 is the contract acceptance number. But you got to do certified return mail because that's when the countdown starts from when you receive that green card back in the mail. That is when you will start counting 3 days, 7 days, 15 days, whatever you want to do. Once that's done, then go ahead and send your accord and satisfaction payment. Because you've already done 20%, I'd say do 5% now. The next payment be 5%. And from there, the entire debt will be taken care of. With the IRS, you don't have to do 3 payments like with mortgages or car loans. IRS is different because when you send in that first payment, remember, the entire debt that they're saying that you owe is what's considered a gift tax. It's a gift tax. So what you're basically sending in is just simply gifts. That's why they're stringing
Even
you
with
up.
the penalties and stuff like that, that's considered
Even
gift
with the
tax?
penalties. Here's why. Title 26, I believe, is the IRS code book within the USC. And I believe it's subsection 60, 66, something like that. You got to go back in the class and you'll see it on, right? It's actually on the bona fide dispute letter. But they are supposed to send you an actual certified letter under penalty of perjury that whatever they're stating you owe is supposed to be under penalty of perjury. It's supposed to be a notarized document. They never do that.
Oh, wow. No, they ain't send me nothing like that.
They send you just a regular statement saying you owe this amount, pay us.
Yes.
But they're supposed to certify that that dollar amount and their statement is correct under penalty of perjury. Because they don't do that, they let the entire debt go away once you let them know that. Pair that with the accord and satisfaction. Pair that with your trust talking. Pair that with, oh, we're setting you up to take you to court. No, we're just going to close this out, not bother you, and we'll go and get other fish. That's what they'll do. Now, the second thing in regards to the house, the quick way to answer that question is yes, you can definitely use the plot for your grandfather, or you can use property in another state, but you have to file it in that state.
Okay. I was born in Hawaii, so that's why I thought maybe they'll also file there too, as well as here in California.
That's a personal choice, but you don't have to.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I guess if you would show me where I can find that in our back office in the private group, I can work with that, at least get that up and get my fingers dirty.
Yeah. Okay. Just if you're a part of Telegram, just send me a reminder in there.
I'm gonna send you a telegram because I'm not a part of Telegram. I'll send it to the messenger in here.
Okay. Let me put the
You need my phone
in
number?
here.
The Telegram need my phone number?
You can do that, or you can just send your Telegram username. That's what we prefer. So my number is in there. You can send the username to that number and we will plug you in. All right, cool. Take a couple more. Miss Yvette, you are unmuted. Just unmute your mic. Yvette Calvin, are you there?
Sorry about that, Avery. I am here. Thank you. I'm eating some cereal, so.
Oh, I understand. I have oatmeal right here that's getting cold, so I'll just eat that later.
Right. Thank you for sharing all this information. So Avery, I am new. I just started earlier this week, and I wanted to say that I still haven't been able to get on the Patreon page. I looked at the video, and you expressed that go to my page. But I'm not saying that.
Okay.
And
Should be to your left. When you first go to the home page, it should be to your left.
yes, it's the only thing that I have is feed. That is, I guess, above my page or whatever, but I'm on that. And I'm just wondering if I'm missing something because I haven't been able to start the process.
Okay.
It's all in one thing. So I'm starting from the freshman.
I'm sharing my screen now. Can you see it?
Yes.
Okay, this is what all patrons see from the very beginning. Right. And over here, you see my page and you'll see messages and things like that.
Okay.
What you're supposed to do is select whichever tier that you enrolled in. So you've done the freshman, right?
I haven't started on anything because I don't see that my page. Is it something that I'm not completing?
Okay.
Or
see this home? You click home. And where it says tier. Now tell me, which tier did you enroll in?
The complete zero tax liability, all in one.
Click that. It's going to pull up all the videos and content that's available to you. From there, I want you to select oldest to newest. And it will begin with the first video. Now this one, YouTube took down. It was a really good one. I'm glad I still have it saved. I'll try to re-upload it. It was about how to keep your job with the vaccination things and everything. But you can start here. But that's what you have to do. Start from oldest to newest. Just click the tier that you're in. After you select home, hit the tier, oldest to newest, and work your way down from the oldest all the way to the newest. So as you see, this is going to include all 5 videos of freshman. There's freshman part 2, part 3, part 4, part 5, and then when you go into sophomore. Now, below each video, there are documents that you have to download. So you click these attachments here and follow along and do exactly what the videos are instructing to do. So are you able to at least see this from your computer?
Well, I'm on my iPad, but I don't.
You might want to go on the computer. It'd be a little bit easier to navigate through all this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, that it's very clear. It's just that I'm having a hard time navigating to try to get to that.
Okay.
But I'll go on my computer.
Okay. That might be the resolution there.
Okay. All right. Thank you. And then let's see. You just mentioned the vaccination. There's I know that I've been listening to some of your videos and you say that you reference Jonah Bay. And, I've been following him too. Doing a lawsuit with the 241, 242. So I was wondering your feelings on that because I mean he says he's going to actually do it in the near future. So what happened is that I refused to take the vaccination last year, and they let me go, and so what I'm looking for is some type of remedy. Because I just don't. It's just unfair.
It is.
Jonah was saying that based upon the 241, 242, it's based upon the Constitution. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do right now. Along with this right here, I'm trying to get it all in.
Right. He's right. A 241, 242 suit will begin the process for that. You can also do what's called, because you were let go for not taking the vaccine. That's the source of the termination.
Correct.
And that's a violation of the Constitution. Now, what you can also bring up, I'm sharing my screen here, is this public law here, 88-352. And if you go down to section 7, I believe, this was the act that I was helping people to realize when you're wrongfully terminated, it's a violation of this act. Let me go down and find it for you, and I'll read that section. Because as of now, I think they've put out a number, 50,000 people have died from this vaccination. And now they're not making it mandatory anymore. Why is that? Why is that? What is this? What section was it? I believe that was, let's see, give me a minute. I think it's up some more. Employment, equal employment opportunity. I think it was section 703. Yes, here it is. Section 703, discrimination because of race, color, religion, sex, or national origin. So you wouldn't say you're not taking it because of your race. You're not saying you're not taking it for color, religion, or sex, but national origin. Now, your national origin can be linked directly to what's called biblical treaties. And this is where you use the Bible. And it doesn't mean that you're connecting yourself as to the terms that are what's under religious rights, such as terms of Christian or Islam or Hindu, or all of those things are under religious rights, which the Vatican controls. And there have been a lot of statements from high-end pastors in that space under 501c3 church-oriented circles that have put out a statement saying that they accept COVID vaccine as something that all of their members should get. So when people say, oh, I'm Christian, therefore I'm not taking this, the employer did not have to listen to that. So we have to take it a step further. We use section 703. It shall be unlawful, an unlawful employment practice for an employer to fail or to refuse to hire or to discharge any individual or otherwise to discriminate against any individual with respect to his compensation, terms, conditions. This is what we're talking about, your condition, or privileges of employment because of such individuals' race, color, religion, sex, or national origin. Now, your national origin is rooted in biblical treaties. And what is also rooted in biblical treaties are the treaties that make up the United States of America Corporation. So inside of that, the treaties that we're talking about here is the Treaty of Tripoli. It talks about who men and women were called in the Old Testament before the term Christian came about. That term was called a Mohammedan. You were of the Mohammedan nation. Abraham, Mohammedan, Gabriel, Daniel, all of them, the Mohammedan nation within Babylon and other areas. So if you were to use just that, Mohammedan nation, you're not using Christian. Doesn't matter what you believe. Just go off of the facts of the treaties that protect you.
Okay.
If you were to use terms like that, you can sue as a breach of section 703. That is the same thing as a 241, 242 suit. That US code 241, 242 is saying you want to sue the federal government. But if you want to sue the state on the county level, you would use this because your employer is inside of the county and the state.
Even if you're in California where they have stiff, I don't want to say that word, but
yeah, even if you're in
problem.
California.
Okay.
This is for employers. Start with the employer first. See how that case goes. If they deny you, then you can appeal in a higher court. Then you introduce 241, 242.
Ah, okay. Yeah, he didn't, Jonah didn't mention that, but I'm glad you told me Is there, do you have any one that deals with that could help me with the case and paperwork?
That would just have to be a private consultation with us.
Okay.
And like we have some that are good for 45 minutes or 2 hours or whatever.
Okay.
And I think the 2 hour one will be necessary so that we can actually type this up with you. And that's where you can present all the facts to us, or you can send it in to us. We're actually working on creating a link for you guys to do that. So if you guys want us to prep actual documentation for your case, we need the time to research your jurisdiction,
Sure.
and then put that together. So
Okay.
now, if it's you suing, then we have enough time to do that. But if you're already inside of a case where time is of the essence, then it just depends on how much time we have to do it.
Okay. Okay. Well, I can talk about the rest of that when I do the consultations. So my third one is this. I just wanted your thoughts on, I have a mortgage, and they sent me a letter in the mail regarding, the mortgage company did, about an annual escrow review. So my mortgage is going to go up like $500 because there was a shortage. And I refied last year, and I was thinking in my mind that the person who did the paperwork for that, as far as being looking at the future for if there would be any shortages or not. So now that's not the case. And so I'm going to call the county assessor's office on Monday, or well, Tuesday, and figure out what's going on, even though I have the bill that they're gonna, for the taxes. And what
I missed the part where you said shortage. Shortage of what? I'm sorry.
Oh, shortage of escrow. Shortage of escrow. And I just find that kind of funny because it shouldn't be like that. I shouldn't have to be short anywhere. Like I said, I refied last year, and this is where I'm at now with it.
Right.
Or later.
What do you plan on doing with the property, might I ask?
Well, I want to like get rid of the mortgage note.
Okay.
And the taxes.
Right.
And yeah, I want to do that, and I want to keep it, but I wanted to do it the right way. And another thing is I know that someone had mentioned about like the paperwork. You guys do paperwork on that. You pay a fee for that, and then you guys handle everything. Is that correct?
That is correct. That is correct.
Okay.
It's called the quick claim application, where you're the grantor, and you quick claim it over to the grantee, which is the trust. And from there, you would then have the opportunity to do what's called an assessment appeal with your assessor's office. And we're showing him that it was actually gold and silver that did the transfer. It wasn't actual fiat currency. When there's monies and species that takes place for this type of thing, that should render the market value to zero. So therefore you can't be taxed. And with that way of thinking, you're not planning on doing any more refinancing. You're not planning on trying to sell the property. You do have the option to go and reach out to private lenders to take out money against the home, but it has to be a private transaction.
Okay.
If you didn't want to do that, then I wouldn't recommend doing the assessment appeal, but you can still do the quitclaim deed, put it in a trust.
Okay. And I don't have the trust already enforced, or?
Say that again. I'm sorry.
Do I have to have the trust already enforced, or is this something I could do now?
Yes, some clerks want to actually see that the trust is there. So you may have to bring in the trust instrument in order for them to record the quitclaim deed.
Okay. Okay. Well, I think I need to get that started. and do it, like you say, a consultation with you.
Okay.
I'll do that. I was actually trying to set up a consultation, but I think you said you're going to be started back up next week.
Next week. Right now, the link is it's inactive. It's off right now.
Okay, got it.
Playing
Got it.
catch up. But yes, next week.
All right. And what I was planning on doing about the taxes, just to go back a little bit, is call them on Tuesday, and I want to be able to dismiss the impound account and just pay the taxes, because I'm going to have to pay anyway. Because it seems like the mortgage company is trying to like charge more with this escrow shortage over time, and giving me a new mortgage payment as of November. And it's really more, it's like almost $170. I'm like, well, if I pay the taxes, I can just handle that myself.
Right. Exactly. Sometimes it requires taking the path of least resistance. You've heard Jonah say that a couple of times. So when you do that, that doesn't mean you're giving in completely, but you're not showing your full hand in what you plan on doing. So you can pay the taxes now. It's a small amount, and we'll work on doing the accord and satisfaction for the rest.
Okay. All right. What day does that consultation thing let up?
You guys will know when I send out the notice out in Patreon. It'll be a blast mail. But when that goes out, it's just first come, first serve who's able to get the proper time and day.
Sure. Okay. That's all I have, Avery. Thank you so much.
All right, Yvette, you're welcome. Thank you. All right, we're going to Mr. Verse. D-Verse.
How's it going, Avery?
Good. Thank you. How are you?
I'm doing great. I can't complain. So I have two questions. This is my first time being in your Patreon, and I've already sent my birth certificate out to get authenticated, get the registrar name authenticated or whatnot. So now my focus right now is to try to get the 980 Express Trust started. However, I did go off into a tangent with the main declaration, and I just had two questions about that. So in the main declaration of Express Trust, there is an address, in the proof of service, and for some reason, I was trying to figure out, does the address for the proof of service for where the county clerk, Superior Court, is that something that I have to, is that for where I'm born, or is that an address that I use where I'm currently at? Because I was born in Georgia, and you were saying it in one of the videos about where you should send your proof of service to.
Right. Now you're in Georgia. I mean, you were born in Georgia, but where are you now?
I'm in Arizona.
Okay, then you can utilize the county office that's in Arizona. That's where you're going to submit your document for recording.
Okay.
What city in Arizona are you in?
I'm literally I'm in Paradise Valley, but Phoenix, Arizona.
Is that I'm not sure, but is that Maricopa County or different?
Yeah, that is.
Okay, yeah, we've worked in Maricopa County before. So you can actually find the clerk for Maricopa, and they have it for, I think $10 to $20. You can send your entire trust packet with the non-UCC on top as the cover, and then below that is going to be the declaration of trust, the summary minutes, everything that you see in the course. You can send that all in Maricopa County for as little as $20, and they will not reject it unless you put something on there that's incorrect. But if you do it the way the course tells you, it'll be accepted.
Okay, so everything that's right there under the trust certificate units, everything that says scheduled trustee minutes from 1 to 4, all that stuff I need to have before I submit, right?
Just the ones that has the word attached in parentheses, just those.
Oh, just those. Okay. What about the ones that I
The other
see.
ones you draft up, but you keep it at home. It's private.
Oh, okay, I got you. Okay, cool. That's what I need to know. And then I got you on that one. And then one last bonus question. I had this for my mom. She's renting a house right now. And I know you were talking about accord and satisfaction. Is that something that you can do with renting a home, or you have to have a mortgage to do this process?
You have to have the mortgage, and you most likely have to have the promissory note, a valid note that shows that you're working towards getting the deed. But if you're renting, then that's off limits to you.
Exactly. Okay. All right. Well, that's all I had.
All right. Well, thank you
Appreciate
for
your
coming in and joining for Patreon. Any additional questions, just either get a consultation with myself or Isaiah, or come back every Saturday. We try to, as you see, I'm trying to address everybody's questions.
Yeah, I see that.
Today, but you guys deserve it. So we're going to get
I
through.
appreciate it.
No problem.
Have a good one.
All right, let's go to Pat. Pat, how you doing? Pat, AKA Epic with Pat. You are unmuted. Just got to unmute your mic.
I'm sorry. Good afternoon. How are you?
I'm well. And
Oh,
yourself?
good. I'm glad. I'm doing well. I'm at work. No fret.
I
I'm at work.
understand.
This is my first time joining Patreon, joining you, doing anything like this. I kind of delved into your videos last night. I joined this Patreon last night. I'm very happy to be here. I'm getting a wealth of information. It seems like I have a lot to learn. But now on this authentication of the birth certificate, I was born in another country. So what I did is I sent my naturalization paper off to be authenticated. And I don't know if that was the correct thing to do, but at that particular point, I was just listening to everything and everybody. And haven't heard anything yet. It's been about a month. Haven't heard anything as yet. And also another thing I noticed listening to your information last night, it seems like I have to begin getting a trust on board for like.
Well, let me address the birth certificate part first.
Yes.
Let me address that part. So tell me, which country were you born in?
Trinidad.
Trinidad. Okay. So here's what you do. Your certificate of naturalization that you sent off, it's already authenticated. It has the Secretary of State's signature on there, or one of his deputy clerks.
It sure did.
When you send it over for authentication, they're going to do it, but just know that's just taking a fee, right? So it could be another month. They're taking a while these days, but it will come back to you complete. But what you really need to do is go to the consulate for Trinidad in the state where you're currently living now, and have
Florida.
them. Where are you now?
I'm in Jacksonville, Florida.
Okay, so go to the consulate in Florida for Trinidad and have them go and get you a copy of your birth certificate. They have the right to do that. It will get notarized in Trinidad, and if it has to be translated to English, if it has to, the consulate will do that, and they will also authenticate that notary public in Trinidad. So you'll have that.
Now, can I do this online?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if you can do it online, but for sure, if you walk in or schedule an appointment, this is done every day. They can do that for you.
The consulate in Florida, or of Florida. I didn't even know there's a consulate of Florida.
Yeah, it's called a diplomat. A diplomatic treaty where every country has a consulate for their representatives in another country.
Okay.
Florida is a country. And there is a consulate for Germany, China, France, everywhere in Florida.
Oh, wow.
For every
Oh,
country.
wow.
That's how when someone
Okay.
comes over here to get their green card, they have to go through the consulate.
Oh, wow. Okay. I will do that. And in the meantime, I was also listening to your videos on the national, being a national with the driver's license and all that. Now, it appears, like I said, I have to get a trust, so everything could be put into that trust.
Correct. You want to put your vehicle in trust. If you're going to utilize a foreign driver's license,
Yes.
it must be paired with an international driving permit. And you should only drive a car that is in trust, or it is a rental, or it is someone else's car. It cannot be registered in your driver's license name, and you're presenting a foreign driver's license. That is going to get you a charge.
Oh, wow.
You do not want to do that.
Oh, so what do I do with my existing vehicle, which is already in my name at that point?
So if you own it, you want to go down to the DMV and you want to give them a copy of the trust and tell them to, it's like doing a bill of sale where you're selling the car or gifting the car to your trust. And they'll give you new registration papers that says the car is registered in your trust. The line below that will show the trustee's name. You don't want to put yourself down as the trustee. You're not the trustee. You're the beneficiary. So you need to get a trustee who has an actual Florida driver's license, and they don't mind being the trustee of your car. Use them. It's kind of like the owners of McDonald's. Foreigners own McDonald's, but on the public, they have actual US citizens to be the CEO and the president of McDonald's. They are the trustees that operate McDonald's. And if you ever were to sue McDonald's, you're suing them. You're not suing the real foreign owners. So you have to operate that way.
All right. Well, I guess I'll start making arrangements for this trust because it seems like I need to get that on board. I appreciate your time. And I really did not know about the consulate of Florida.
Yeah.
So
just
Google
it. You'll find where they are.
Okay. All right. Very well. Thank you so much, love.
You're very welcome. Thank you. All right. Going to Todd. You are unmuted.
Hey, Avery, it's Todd.
Hey.
Yeah, actually, I was just mostly, I think I have a lot of questions kind of thing on a legal matter. But I was just trying to see what to get a consultation with you. I guess at this point, what's the easiest way to do that? I thought it was on your site, but I didn't see that.
Yeah, the easiest way is to contact my executive assistant. I'll put her number in this chat here. And what she's going to do is take a little bit of information from you. And what she's doing is she's filtering. She's seeing which of our consultants will best fit you. Right now, it's going to be Isaiah to mainly handle the call. I'm looking at the chat here, kind of getting a sense of what this is going to be about. So we may need to do a three-way call just for you. So let me put the number in the chat. But if you could take it down right now, it's 951-394-1775.
Okay.
Okay. Get in touch with her and she will begin scheduling.
Okay, beautiful. Okay, great, Avery. Thank you.
You're welcome.
That was that.
For everything you're doing for your mom too.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, Avery.
All right. Garth, how you doing? You are unmuted, Garth, if you're there.
Hey, Avery, how you doing today?
I'm well.
Man, it's a walk.
My voice is getting a little tired now. Haven't talked this long in a long time.
I know that's right. It's been a wealth of knowledge today, and man, some of my questions have been answered, and some it's still kind of foggy. Last week, I was speaking to you, and I think we were talking about one of the first things that you should do. Like, I have my 9(8) number. I'm kind of stuck. I'm also in Maryland, so I think his name was Karif, and another gentleman that spoke after him. And I was like, dang, it is this DBA, the DBA or the fictitious name is just like throwing me for a loop. I'm like,
You got to
not
ask yourself, why is the DBA that seems so simple so hard in some places? Because it is absolutely crucial to get that done.
Yeah, and I'm like, what in the world? So what you're saying is basically, from just listening to everybody, listening to the answers, I want to make sure I'm kind of grasping all of this. I would want to record the DBA in another state. You suggested Florida.
Yes.
And I would have to do that for probably, I think you said like a series of 4 weeks, and then I would take whatever document I would get from the newspaper that I filed it in Florida, and then I can bring that back to Maryland and have it recorded.
No, you want to record it in Florida. So you draft it up, you get it notarized, right? And then you go get it notarized, and then you go ahead and send it to the paper in Florida. Let it circulate in the paper for 4 weeks. Once it's done, they're going to give you a finalized copy of it, and then that's what you record with the county clerk's office in Florida.
Oh, okay. So I would figure out what their paperwork is to file a DBA in Florida. And I would still have my company here. So let's just say my company was ABC LLC. I would file that DBA paperwork, which I guess the first one would be in my name, right? The first DBA that I would file, I think when I was looking at videos, it would be in my name, and then I would just basically put an ad in the paper for 4 weeks saying that that paperwork that I filled out for Florida, just put that in the paper for 4 weeks, correct? And
That's
then
correct.
have it recorded in Florida.
That's correct.
And can I do all of my DBAs, the 6 of them, at the same time, or do I want to wait until one is recorded in Florida and then do the process all over again?
Yeah, it's one each, one serving each.
One serving each. Okay.
Now you already got a business registered in Maryland, right?
I do, but it's not in good standings, and I'm torn between. I don't know.
That's fine. That's fine. What I'm getting at is when you take that same LLC name and you do it in Florida, right? And it's all done. That's going to cover your business doings in the county of whatever you are in Maryland. So if you still want to do business in that LLC name in Maryland, you are covered with the trust because of what you've done in Florida. Remember, full faith and credit rule.
Okay.
It applies everywhere.
So it applies to what is done in one state applies to all of them.
Correct.
I think I've heard you say that. Okay. So that's what I'll do, and I'll do that and file all 60 DBAs. Now the once I have the LLC, what can I do next? Will it be just the EINs, which makes the estate? Like, I still haven't gotten a EIN number for that business. So do I do that, and then is that the estate, or I do that and then I do another EIN for ABC company doing business? No, well, I guess doing business as myself, Garth Roach. Or is that just the DBA side of it? I'm sorry, I don't even know if I'm really communicating it properly, but
I understand your question. So when you go to the Internal Revenue website, when you apply for EINs, you're going to first get your estate EIN. That's in the sophomore class. You watch the video on how to do that. Once you get that EIN number, you then proceed to the 8832 process, right?
Okay.
1 second here. So this office phone is always interrupting. So you do the 8832 process and let that go and wait for it to come back. The next EIN to get is your trust enterprise EIN. And then you move forward with getting the 8832 process done for that. If you don't have an EIN for your LLC and it hasn't earned any money yet, or you don't plan on using it to earn any money, then don't worry about it. You don't need an EIN for that. I want you to get an EIN for an unincorporated association. If you're going to do business in Maryland, you might as well start fresh and start clean with an entity that doesn't have to file with the Secretary of State. All it needs is a DBA in the county that's showing that the trust is doing business as that unincorporated association. You get an EIN for it, and then you proceed again with the 8832 process. The unincorporated association will have articles that you have to fill out. I've given you guys that in the unincorporated association video. Get a copy of it and tailor it to whatever business structure you're going to be doing. That articles is going to be used with the DBA so you can open up a bank account for that business.
Okay.
So you can do it that way.
Okay.
But as always,
gotcha.
Grab a consultation with Isaiah.
Okay.
He knows that. He knows it well. And he'll look at what you filed and what you have, and he'll make some adjustments to it if he needs to before you start opening these accounts.
All right. Okay. I'm gonna do that, Avery. And the injunction is in the freshman class. The videos for doing your injunction is that also something I heard you say is the affidavit of domicile? Are those two the same things, or are those something different?
Injunction is in the senior class. That's completely different. That's protecting your property, protecting your assets on the sheriff level. It's a writ, basically. We talked about writs today. It is
yeah.
The affidavit of domicile, that's for your birth certificates.
The affidavit of domicile for birth certificate, but I have to worry about that. So basically, that's something. I remember you said you should do the injunction first. Like I just bought a home last year. It'll be a year this month, actually. Well, next month. So doing that injunction, I would put this house here, or will I wait for that? So I'm only signed up for one class. I went to the sophomore class, but I'm thinking maybe I should just pay for everything and do the injunction part first, because I'm like all
do
over
the
the
injunction
place
part first, and then
just trying to.
The legal description you can put in the injunction because you want the sheriff to protect your home. If you have any weapons, you do the same thing inside the injunction. You have children who are under 18, you put their names. And if you have any vehicles, you put up to 4 vehicles in there, the license plates. Go ahead and get that started. Send that off to your county sheriff. You can also add the next county over. You can add the sheriff in that county too. It doesn't have to just be one sheriff and one filing. You could do up to 2. But it's up to you. It's up to you.
Okay.
Right.
Sounds good. Thanks a ton. I'm really getting a lot of information. Again, thank you for what you do, Avery.
Thank you, Garth. No problem. No problem. All right, we're going to Flex. How you doing, Flex?
Hey, what's good, Avery?
Flexing on them down there in Georgia.
Yes, sir.
Good.
I got a quick text question. Trying to figure some things out. So I still haven't gotten my enterprise bank account opened up yet. Because I'm still the guy that I use, whatever, just have some issues with him. But I'm getting some contract work, and they asked me to fill out the W-9. So am I able to go back later on? Am I able to just fill it out regularly, with my, regular business information, the EIN for my business information? And then once I get the account opened up, am I able to backtrack and, file that paperwork later on and still get the tax exemption advantages, or does it work like that?
Yes, you can. Let me show you something on the W9. Let me share my screen. All right. Here's what you're going to do. See my screen okay?
Yes, sir.
Right here, I want you to put, come on, the name of the Express Trust Enterprise. The DBA is Flex, middle, last. And you're going to select trust. Payee code is going to be B, exemption, TEFRA. Put in the address, and then come down here and put your EIN number down there that you got. So that means when you, before you get the bank account open, tell your employer that you want to be paid in the name of box number 2. That's what you want your checks to be issued in. Because right now you have a bank account in this name, I'm sure. And when you finally get your Trust Enterprise bank account open, then you can go and update your employer or your contractor and say, you can now pay me in this name. He won't have no problem with it because both of these names are linked to the EIN number. That's all you got to do.
Okay. Appreciate that.
No problem. Any other questions? You good?
That was it for me.
All right, cool. Thank you. Shamina, to answer your question, I believe you had asked, does the trust have to absolutely be complete before you send an accord of satisfaction? Can you guys answer that for? I'm sure you guys know. The answer is
No.
no. Correct. You can start right now. You can start with an LLC. You can start with your individual name. You can start with a corporation. You can start with a partnership, sole proprietorship. But it sure does help when you have that trust working on your behalf in court. But you don't have it for sure. All right, let's go to Kaneda. You are unmuted. Hope I said your name correctly. Forgive me if I did not. Kaneda. Just got to unmute your mic and you are free to speak. I see your question here in the chat. To have the sheriff protect my assets like my car, I have to file an injunction? Question mark. The answer is yes. In the senior course, you see how to do that. And what all do I have to do to record before this is done? There is nothing that you have to have recorded before that is done. You're just going to submit that out to 4 parties: Attorney General, the sheriff, the governor, and the Chief Justice. And that's going to be sent out to 4 parties 3 times. 3 times is an administrative procedures process. First notice, you wait 72 hours. You send the second one, which is a notice to cure. You wait another 72 hours. And the final one is a default notice. That will finalize your injunction filing with the sheriff. He will then place you on what's called the do not stop, do not detain list. Okay. So that was easy. We're going to go to Jesus. You are unmuted.
Hello, Avery.
How you doing?
I'm doing good. How you doing?
Doing all right. Hanging in there.
I hear you. Hi to everybody in the chat. All right, Avery. So I've been kind of in and out. I got my daughters running around. So I hit the brick wall with the UCC financing statement. You told me, go ahead, shoot over to another county. I understand that. So I was talking to the council for Passaic County clerk's office or whatever, and I was blowing her mind with like, you know, I was neck and neck with her as far as like, yo, you know, you're violating the Constitution, clerk is to file, and she just didn't want any parts of me.
Right.
I'm tired of tussling with these people. I'm the guy that had 5 months recording a DBA, and I finally got it figured out. I don't want to go another 5 months, right? So, based off of what you told me, your instructions, right? Go to another county, record the non-UCC. What I'm willing to do right now is literally mail out the non-UCC to like every county in the world, and if somebody bites, they bite. My question. So my question now is, right, because I told the council, I said, listen, you handed me a document that says I can record a declaration of trust. To fund the trust, I need property. I have property in Passaic County. My name is on the deed. She said, yes, you can do the declaration of trust here, but as far as the UCC financing statement, we're not going to allow it, which I wanted to like really, I'm not even gonna say what I want to do to her, but
right.
So my play, right? I'm gonna keep it cool and peaceful. My play is I'm about to just mail this shit out to everybody in every county. If I were to get it back saying it's filed, can I slide? Okay, let's say I get it done in California, because everybody's lucky in California. Let's say I get that shit done in California, right? And I get it back. Can I slide that in my DOT when I record it in Passaic County, where I reside, do business, where I'm more likely to make contact with you know?
Of course. I've told you guys when LA was a problem for me, I went to Fulton County, Georgia. And then once it was done there, I took that information and referenced it in California. Then I took that information and I referenced it in Florida. So you can do it in other forgiving counties and states for sure.
So that's the answer to my question. So I'm literally about to mail out my non-UCC. Okay, so now the also real quick, Chief. Since I don't got property over there and I'm not doing this 1% thing with anybody because nobody wants to believe anything I'm doing, I'm gonna just put miscellaneous and see if I can slide in the door.
Right. See, do it in the mail. I've always done it in the mail. I don't walk in these things because they're ready to fight you. So just do it in the mail, and I stylize my mail like it's coming from a Jewish society. I mean, I seal my envelopes with wax and the Star of David and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And I get it in there without even having property when I do it that way. So
value perception.
Yeah, it works. So you don't have to send it out to all counties, but you can, fake the funk,
I copy that.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna send it out with some nice paper, that nice thick paper, nice little wax seal, real, real nicey nice. Like take a shower that day.
Mm-hmm. That's what I suggest.
All right, and I get that back. If anybody bites, I slide it in my DOT in my county where I do have property. And have a nice day, Jesus. Go away.
Mm-hmm. And if that doesn't work, come to Seminole County, Florida. They'll do it here.
Seminole County. I'm sending. Okay. All right, Avery. I appreciate everything. And thank you very much, brother. Enjoy your day.
You're welcome. No problem. Thank you. All right. AJ, you are muted.
Hello again, and thank you for going so long with us. I really appreciate the extra time you're giving us. In one of your videos, you mentioned that it might have been in the book. You mentioned that you might do a video series on how to file the tax stuff to get, you know how you were going to be looking for an accountant to do all of our accounting stuff?
Mm-hmm.
You said something to the effect that you were going to find either an accountant, or I thought you might even make a video on how to do it. How does that search go?
Yeah, I also said that they're skittish, and they're like, no, we don't want to risk our license. So then I said, well, I'm just going to have to do it myself, according to my study, and file it that way. And upon receiving a refund, I have to let that money sit there. I have to let it sit there and cure in case they want to do audits on those accounts. And they only have a certain limitation of time that they can come back and do anything. So once that time has
what's their
passed,
time frame?
the time frame is, I believe it's 2 years. 2 years.
Wow.
2 years. So I'm telling you guys, when we're doing this process, we are removing tax liability. That is the most important thing here that we care about. Let's make as much as we can. And it's nice to go ahead and get back the money that we pay, such as the direct tax, 8 cents to the dollar on everything, and let that build up. Let it build up that the trust owns, so that when we're ready, we can file and go back 7 years and get a refund. So for now, we're just making money, whatever business that you're instituting, or even if you're working a job, you're filing exempt on your W-4s. There's even actual a document that we can utilize to cancel existing W-4s so that there is no taxes coming out. So that's where we're at right now.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Let's see here. All right, Sean Pace, you're the last but not least. Let's go.
Hello, Avery.
Hey man, how you been? How's
I'm
your
good.
family?
Yeah, I'll keep it really, really short. You've given us so much time. I really appreciate it. I just wanted to know, am I on the list of the private clients that you're going to reach out and talk to this week?
Of course you are.
Okay, then I can talk about all these millions of questions that I have then.
I know we got some business questions to talk about.
Yeah.
Of course you are. So I look forward to it.
All right. Well, I appreciate all the time you gave us. I appreciate everybody who was here. Such a pleasure.
This was a good call. I appreciate everybody coming in, and you guys, the number of participants stayed the same from the inception all the way to the end. So thank you guys for that. I appreciate that. Really do. We've got a total of about 100 people that are in the course here with you guys, but consistently we got about 30 people that come in to ask questions. So you guys keep this thing alive for them. I'm sure you're asking questions that they want to know, and they're checking out these webinars throughout the week anyway. I can see their participation. So they are here, and I hope to eventually talk to them. I appreciate the people that are new that have come on. So that's always a blessing to see that as well. We got one more hand up. You're right. I did say you can come back in when we get through everybody. So you are the last. You know who you are.
Thank you so much. And that's actually for CJ. So it's
all right, cool.
Yes. So I put it in the question box, but he received a letter from the IRS requesting payment on his taxes, business taxes, because we're full-time entrepreneurs, with a notice of offshore. So what is the best way to handle this? Note that we just created the 98. So we have all the 92 numbers, like everything is starting to get set up, I should say, but not recorded fully, and no bank account has been set up yet because we are doing the DBAs and all that stuff. But what would be the best way to handle that?
Okay, we kind of touched on that a little bit with someone's question about the IRS. Now, they sent you a notice demanding payment, right?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
They sent you a notice demanding payment.
Correct.
All right.
With the entire, like, all the years, some years that apparently was missed, but we got to double check that. But recently, this current year that has been just filed. Yes.
Right. Now, there is something that they were supposed to have with that notice. You know what it is?
Yes, the one that is under the perjury and notarized, which is not. You're correct.
So that's what you're going to ask for.
Okay, so it's just sending a letter asking for that. That's the next step. Okay, got you. Okay. Thank you.
You're very welcome. I was actually trying to pull that up in Google here, but you guys have it in the bona fide dispute letter, and you also have it in the third-party debt collector letter. That third-party debt collector letter can be used to respond to notices like that as well. a
Oh,
17-page document. And remember, the IRS is a third party to who? The U.S. Treasury. So you make the Treasury the creditor, you make the IRS the third party debt collector, and send that off as a response. Cool. All right, you guys, that's going to be it for today's call. This was recorded. I will upload it into Patreon with the book that I mentioned, the Table of Writs, plus the 2 affidavits for the adult and the children. Oh, I forgot to show something before I let you go. Talking about the children affidavit. Let me just show it really quick. On the UCC, the non-UCC for the children, you guys already have the one for yourself for the adults. But remember, I said that the children will have a lease agreement, not a promissory note. So this is what it's going to look like. Let's say the child's name is Charles Little, family of Young Estate. You're going to put his birth registrar address right here. Then you're going to start in section 2, last name Young, first name Charles, and again, the birth registrar address. Number 3, the parents' trust, which was in our example, Micro Republic Express Trust, and then put the foreign address of that express trust. We have Casablanca, Morocco. Now, here's the language. With trust, the collateral of the estate referenced by the said
Avery
county. Hello, who's that?
Hey, sorry to interrupt you, but everyone's saying in the chat they can't see your screen.
They
that you're
can't
talking
see
about.
it. That's right.
Yeah.
Did not share. Here we go. You guys caught me. I'm in the exit mode. All right, here we go again. Box 1. You have your child's name in this format. Charles Little, family of Young Estate. The birth registrar address where they were born. The county address is what goes here. Box 2, Young, Charles. This is the last name, as the surname. Again, same address. The parents' express trust goes here, and this is the foreign address of that express trust. With trust for the collateral of the estate referenced by the said Osceola County clerk of the circuit court, record number, ... Now, what is that? Osceola County, of course, you would change to whichever county you're in, right? The court record number, you would have to change this, of course. Remember, you are going to do the affidavit of domicile for your child, and the court or the county is going to give you a filing number, and that is the number that goes here, followed by the date of that filing number. What is the certificate of title number? That is your child's birth certificate number. Authenticated by the Florida, change it for your state, Secretary of State number, and place that there. Every time you authenticate your birth certificate, the secretary will give you a certain number as well, followed by the finalized Department of State number right here on the gold seal. Is hereby held in express trust, secure party, which is number 3, for a term of 204 months. Where did I get this number from? Remember, this is for children who are 18 and under. So let's say that my child is 1 year old. He has an additional 17 years to go before he's 18. So therefore, 17 years times 12 is 204 months. Can you just put 17 if you want to? Yes, you can. Now, this is going to be backed by an equity secured lease agreement. Give it whatever exhibit number you want. I want you to create the issue date. When is the start of the lease? You place that here. To when? When is their 18th birthday? In this case, it's in the year 2039. Now, this is going to be held in trust, just like usual. This is a public finance transaction. Do not let people tell you that this is a debtor transmitting utility. The law says for transmitting utilities that only pertains to utility companies such as Edison, water, gas, and all of that. That is not what you are. I don't care what people try to say that your body is energy and all of that stuff. That's not going to work in court. So please stay away from that. 6B, you're going to select non-UCC. And here's something different for number 7. You're going to check off leasee lessor. Why? In the definitions, try to zoom in here. In the definitions, look at the word leasee. It means a person who acquires the right to possession and the use of goods under a lease. Unless the context clearly indicates otherwise, the term includes a sub-lessee. Let's look at lessor. Means a person who transfers the right to possession and use of goods under a lease. So you see, that's what's happening here. The lease agreement is stipulating everything throughout the growth of your child up until they're 18. When they're 18, they can now go into their own equity secured promissory note for their own trust. So this express trust here, this 98 number, this non-UCC, is turned for 204 months. At the 18th birthday, you would then do a UCC termination. Have you guys ever seen that form? A UCC termination. I will show you. Go to our favorite website here. Let's see, UCC 3. This is an amendment. So the initial financing statement number would go here, and you would select termination when your child is 18, and then they will enter into their initial non-UCC recording, just as you've done. All right, so that's it. Sorry that a few people got off early and they didn't see that, but this was recorded. And you guys are also going to be famous. You're going to be on YouTube as well. So I'll put some of these videos on YouTube and to share with the world. So with that being said, that's going to be it. I'm going to see you guys next Saturday for additional questions that you may have. From there, let's continue to knock it out and figure out how we can get over these counties who are trying to give us stops and stipulations. And thanks, Michael, for letting me know, because I would have said all of that without even sharing my screen.
No problem. I didn't want to interrupt you, but I also didn't want you to go through all that without the screen being shared. So thank you so much for sharing that today.
Thank you. All right, you guys, I'll see you guys later.
All right, have a good week, Avery.
Shamina,
Peace.
Tim, I see you both. How you guys share your videos at the end? Gosh, I can't hear nothing, but we'll talk. I'm gonna be talking with you, Tim.
I'm sorry, I
private
had
clients.
my thing on mute.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was on mute. I'm sorry. Camera shy.
No problem. No problem. Next week you redeem yourself.
Yes, next week, I promise.
All right. See you guys later.